wanini, ife wanini, inako severanga kulala. Wanini, wanini, ife wanini, inako severanga kulala. Asacha bahamanga chikano. Wewe international. Unapanga chiwaya mbaya sana. Ndio bana vipi? Wanini.
Haya. Asante. Kakamega oye. Kakamega oye. Youth Tibim. Youth Tialala. Comrades power. Are there comrades in the room? Comrades power. Asanteni sana kwa kunikaribisha hapa siku ya leo. Na pia nataka kusema asanteni sana mlipokea mwaliko wangu na mkakuja kwa wengi. So mtaniruhusu I make my presentations into 3. First, I will read my official statement. Then after that, I will engage in addressing some of the concerns that have been raised in this forum by your leadership here. And then finally, if it will be necessary, pengine nitakuzia siasa kidogo. Because, you know, a lot of times people say that we should not talk politics. But I think it is lack of understanding of our constitution and lack of understanding of how various offices need to operate. Cabinet secretaries, we are not civil servants. I did not appear in any interview by Public Service Commission like my principal secretary is here. I was appointed politically and I leave the office politically. And therefore I must act political. Tena ningependa kusema vile wengine wamesema hapa mbele yangu ama mbeleni, mimi pia ni Mluya. Wasuba ni Waluya. Wale wanaongea Kisuba sanifu wanaweza engage na Wamaragoli bila shida yoyote. So mimi nimekuja nyumbani, tutaongea kinyumbani, hata kama sitaongea lugha, juu hata nyinyi mko na watoto wenyu wengi wanaishi huko Nairobi na wajui Kiluya. So I'm not the only Luya who is not able to speak Kiluya. So wacha kwanza nianze na official address. And I want to remind you that this event we are holding today is not an academic exercise. I made a commitment when I got into this office with the people of Kenya that I'm going to change the tradition at the National Treasury, where people sit on the 14th floor and push papers and make decisions without visiting watu mashinani ndiye wajue ni shida gani wananchi wako nazo. Kwa hivyo nikitoka hapa, it would be criminal, let me say, if nothing comes out of our discussion here today. So at least at the bare minimum, there should be a demonstration in the coming budget that I was in Kakamega and that I held a meeting with the people of Kakamega, and I will talk about that once I finish my official statement. So let me start with the big people in the room, the representatives from the University Students Association, our esteemed student team members and members of the business community represented here on the table, members of Bunge la Wananchi, and I want to also mention the governor. He has left, but who is also my professional colleague. He was once my chairman. principal secretaries, my principal secretaries, the two of them who are in the room, the national government, the Ngao, let me put it in short, Ngao, as represented by the county commissioner, thank you, my brother, and your entire team. I will not forget the grassroots leadership, the members of county assembly, the people who engage with the wananchi on day-to-day basis, as opposed to some of us who sit in Nairobi throughout the week. These ladies and gentlemen are always with you, and they know the problems that people face much more than Mbadi would do. I want to also recognize you. Kipra and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, again, good afternoon. Let me start by extending to you in this room a warm welcome to this stakeholder engagement forum. I wish to thank all of you for finding time to attend this very critical event that provides us with an opportunity to share our views on the management of public resources in the country, and particularly in the budget process, more so as it relates to our development agenda. This process builds up not only from the meeting that was held on 10th of December 2025 in Nairobi, where I launched the National Budget Students Forum with the sole purpose of embedding a youth-centric perspective into our national economic decision-making process, but also from my previous engagements with Bunge la Wananchi on budget process. I hope you still remember that last year I did a historical engagement at Jivanji Garden. I think I was the first public officer or cabinet minister or even cabinet secretary or minister for that matter to go public and engage in Jivanji Garden with the people of Kenya. During the students' launch, it was agreed on the need for a wider engagement with the youth of this country in their respective regions on matters pertaining to public finance management. Further, in view of the recent government efforts on privatization, it has been deemed fit to broaden this engagement to include also the business community, because they understand more issues of privatization or doing business, and the Bunge la Wananchi for a more comprehensive stakeholder information and participation. The successful engagement with the Bunge la Wananchi in the last financial year could only be built upon. Feedback from this engagement has been that this must continue, that we should continue with the engagement. So the National Treasury's engagement with members of the business community is also not new. Under my watch, it has definitely been enriching in shaping our resolve, or my resolve, to have in place more inclusive policies that allow more Kenyans to participate in public resource management. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to emphasize that this is not just a policy initiative, but rather it is a legal obligation rooted in our Constitution, Article 201A, which mandates for public participation in all financial matters so as to enhance transparency, accountability, efficient utilization of resources, and value for money in the management of our public resources. At the National Treasury, we have come to the realization that the government alone cannot effectively respond to the multifaceted challenges facing our country, particularly on unemployment, gaps in skills development, digital literacy, entrepreneurship, and inclusive governance for a more democratic dividend. In this regard, I have prioritized stakeholder participation as a key dimension of governance and one of the pillars for a sustainable development. We shall enhance collaboration with our stakeholders, including the youth, the private sector, experts, civil society organizations, volunteers, and local communities, which is more critical. So by forging partnership and collaboration, the government will harness the ideas, skills, and resources of diverse stakeholders to better delivery policies in transformative ways and address the existing gaps in financial, human, and technical resources. So I wish to reiterate that the youth are a significant demographic of our country, making up 75% of the population, with a potential for contributing towards economic development of the country in this regard. Their voices must be central to how we plan, allocate, and utilize our resources. This has therefore necessitated a shift in public financial management towards inclusive and participatory governance, where citizens, including the youth, actively engage and participate in policy formulation and act as co-creators of government policies and services. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya has also adopted privatization as a strategic economic policy shift to promote efficiency in the economy by subjecting more services to market forces, to improving competitiveness, revenue generation, aid in fiscal consolidation pathway by reducing government spending on efficient state corporations and market development by deepening Kenya's capital market. I think on that, I will come back to it to explain a few things, because the member of County Assembly who spoke here had challenged me or asked me on certain questions or concerns to address. And I think also the same concern was addressed from the panel right in front of you.